Hey everybody, so in this video I basically took a bunch of ticker requests from people in the Discord, and I'm just going to go through TA on a bunch of different tickers because I know that in my overviews I always talk about the indices and FANG, but I never really talk about individual tickers here. So starting with Square, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom out. And we could see that this chart doesn't look too good, and let's just go in the 5-year. See if we can find any sort of trend. So the obvious trend here is that this one got invalidated. And let's look for the downtrend here. We could see that we broke a pretty significant downtrend. So this could be the start of another uptrend. And I do want to note that where we actually fell our lowest point is pretty much the pandemic high. Yeah, right here was the 2020 crash. And we basically fell right back to this point. So we basically undid 2 entire years of price action here. So now we're going to go on to the lower time frame. And you can see where we make this decisive break right here when we hit that pandemic low. And then we have a ton of volume, which happened right on the earnings. So you can see a ton of buying volume. And now we're trending up. So now we're going to introduce the moving averages here. And we can see that we made it above the 50-day. We have a curling 20-day. And we have this 20-day, this 100-day moving average that could act as resistance here. Now I want to take these moving averages off again, and then kind of build areas of resistance that we could potentially hit. So I see this right here, and this area right here. This is a good one right here. Maybe right there, yeah. All right, so now we're going to throw on these moving averages. If we get above this resistance here at around 150.50, and we break above the 100-day, I do think we could be making it to this 170 area. And you can see right here that this was a resistance point. And this right here, where we're currently actually going to hit, is a prior support. You can see that right here. Resistance, support. So in the shorter term, if we break above the 100-day, I think we could get to 170. And then we'll debate if we could get any further than that once we get there. But on the downside, so if this move just turned out to be a false breakout, then what could happen is I would think that we could revert right back to this 50-day, which coincides with this move right here. So we go all the way back here. When we broke past this area, which is 117, we had this rally up to 134. So that could be an area where if this is a false breakout that we could revert back to. And we could see right here that the 50-day moving average is at around 115.71. So it's pretty close to that area. But what will happen in turn is that if we continue moving up, this 20-day moving average will cross above the 50 and it'll continue curling up. So thus far, I would say pretty good sign. But expect some resistance right here at around 150, and then some more resistance at the 100-day. Looking at ENPH, I have this already charted just because I was looking at ENPH at a prior time. Now, one thing I really noticed about ENPH is that really concerns me is this head and shoulders that could potentially form. So if we look at the highest point on this left potential shoulder, it's right at about 201, where this gap is. So the top of this gap. So we could potentially go all the way up to 201, and then we could start fading, and we could seriously put in some serious pain if this does turn out to be a head and shoulder formation. So that's something to definitely look out for. I would say that the risk going up into this 200 area is very, very high. But if we do break this area, I do think that this has wings to potentially go back to these 220 areas. And then let's throw on the moving averages. So right now we're actually above the 100-day moving average, which is 184.45. And we have this curling 20-day moving average. So it looks bullish right now. And you can see that the last time we actually went up to this 100-day moving average, we rejected pretty hard. But right now we're actually pretty bullish. But I do want to point out that while stocks were seriously fading, ENPH was doing well throughout all of that. So it is possible that ENPH could see a downturn if oil prices potentially go down. So I would definitely look out for that. And when we zoom out, always zoom out. This head and shoulders formation could really happen. So I would definitely want to be trimming some of my position around here if I do own ENPH and if I'm not particularly a long-term investor. Now, where I do think ENPH is a good buy would probably be in this midpoint between where the base of this shoulder is and the actual head of the shoulder. So I would say anything in this kind of like this 140-ish area, I would say is a decent area to be buying. So particularly, I would say right around here, 146. Now, DraftKings, we go out 5 years. Now, what I want to point out, it recently broke this downtrend here. And now we're just kind of moving back and forth. So the low was actually pretty darn low. It was the actual base of this bar right here. So let me introduce the moving averages. We're going to go on to 1 year. So we're basically staying right underneath the 20-day. So you can see that we're being suppressed by the 20-day moving average here. It's at 1942 for DraftKings. And you can see that price action is starting to get a little bit weak here. So we had this strong move up, but now we're not really seeing that much gains. So if we do manage to get above here, the next resistance will be at this 50-day moving average at 2084. And if we do get above that, I will put the next resistance right around here at about 2482. So let's just zoom out. We could even go a little bit lower. Like maybe 2349 would also be a good resistance. Because you can see right here, it's this move from this bar to that bar. Now, DraftKings has faded quite a bit, but if we do ever get past, probably, let's say, this point right here, if we do get above 28.12, I do think we could see some pretty strong upside. So you can see we really started fading right here into September. And since then, it's just been straight down. So if we get above this point right here, which is about 28.10, we could potentially move all the way up here to 34.23. That'll be right here. And it coincides with this support right here. We're still in a full bear trend, so definitely be careful with DraftKings. Until we get over the 50-day, I would think that this still looks very, very bearish. And even if we get over the 50-day, I would still think that it's not all that bullish, just because you have this full bear trend. Now looking at AFRM, it's going to draw this trend line right here. Recently we broke out. Got this little breakout right here, but I'm going to introduce the moving averages so you can see a little better. So right now we're not quite at the 50-day moving average. We're above the 20-day moving average. This 20-day moving average is curling up, but we could potentially get rejected at the 50-day moving average. Now look what happened back here. So this was a pretty clear rejection of that 50-day. It didn't quite get up there, but it got pretty darn close. Now that could happen again here if we try to get up at 49.48. So definitely do be careful. If you're buying AFRM, I would think that it's a little bit safer if we could get above this 50-day and then we see a back test and a rip higher. So that would be a good sign. Right now we have the 100-day moving average going underneath the 200 and 250. So this still looks pretty darn bearish, but we do have this little breakout here. And if we do get above this 50-day, then I think that this would probably look just a little bit better. Now I do want to point that there could be some significant resistance right here at around 54, which was a prior support. Even here, there could be resistance. We actually met this resistance right here, which were these two wicks. And that's actually where we rejected here today. The CrowdStrike. So yeah, I've never actually looked at this chart before. So to me, there's one very clear thing. So there was this trend going back here, and it got invalidated. And we have something that looks like it could be a potential head and shoulders. So you look right here, that's the left shoulder, that's the head. And if we continue rallying back up, this right shoulder could go as far as 253. So this would be an area where you would be very, very cautious, because if we do continue up like this, we could meet some serious resistance right here, and then this could just end up being a head and shoulders. So now let's introduce the moving averages. Let's go on the 1 year. Another thing we could notice is that this right here could be a cup formation. We're above the 50-day, we're above the 20-day, we're above the 100-day, and now we're trying to reach the 200-day. So the 200-day could act as a pretty significant resistance as well. Let's kind of draw a resistance line right here. So you can see that this right here is going to act as serious resistance. That's about 228.56. And you can see this touch point right here, right there, right there, right there. This was a prior support right there. And when we broke underneath this, you can see that we started to see some very strong selling. So this could be a potential area that would be good for shorting. And it will be really clear when to know when to get out of your short. Because if we close above the 200-day, that's going to give you your signal that you need to get out and that this is probably going to be bullish. So that's CrowdStrike. On the 5-year, see what this chart actually looks like. All right. That's interesting. So yeah, we've got this longer term trend line that goes back to 2019. And you can see we broke underneath it, but we quickly got back up above it. So it was just a quick break underneath. Now we're going to go on, or actually let's see if we could draw a trend channel here. Oh yeah, that lines up. Um, we're hitting these wicks right here. And this is actually the top of this massive red candle. So now we're going to go on the 1-year. If we do see some resistance here, it's very clear. It's going to be right here. Now you can see that this is basically a quadruple top. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the more we hit this, the more potential we have to break above it. Now I'm going to introduce the moving averages. Here we see the 100-day could move underneath the 200-day. We have the 50-day starting to flatten out. We have the 20-day starting to curl a little bit. So we're currently above the 50 and the 20, and we're going to shoot for the 200-day if we break past this resistance here. So we got to get past this resistance. We got to get past the 200-day and the 100-day. So there's quite a bit of resistance here. But if we do make it to the top of this trend channel, it will be looking like 140. And let's see. Yeah, I would put, if we're looking at areas of resistance, there's probably one right around here. There. So you can see it hits this top right here as resistance. And then you can see right here, it pretty much hits the bottom of this red bar right there. Now, once we broke under that, we started to see a serious sell-off. Book, let's go on the 5-year. Has this trend line that goes back pretty far. It goes all the way back to 2014, and it's catching most of the price action. And we have this trend line that's catching most of the crashes. So you can see right here, it basically caught this 190 area. So this was a good buying point for Facebook, as you can see from the bottom trend line that's catching all of these, the last 3 crashes we had on Facebook. So where would the top of this trend line take us? Well, that'll probably be around 250. So let's introduce the moving averages. Now we had a pretty steep sell-off, so we'll be lucky if we could regain some momentum here. So the one thing I do want to pay attention to is just these gaps that are in the chart. So we got this gap right here at 250 right there. Let me just get rid of some of these lines. And we have the top of this gap, which is around 290. So areas that you're probably going to see quite a bit of shorting, it's probably going to be this 250 area. And if we do get above this 250 area, then I would see that as very bullish and that we could potentially go back and fill this gap at 290. So 250 is going to be the strong test. See if we could get above that. And you can see right here, it was a prior support Facebook for you. CHWY, look at the 5-year. And let's see. So here we could clearly see that break of trend right here. That. And let's draw another trend line. Catch these tops. And this looks like it's moving in a channel as well. Notice that this channel aligns with the top of this massive red bar. Let's go on the 1-year time frame. Introduce the moving averages. Now we see we recently got above the 50-day, but we're drawing what looks like a shooting star right here. So to me, that's not a good sign. This could be a false breakout of the 50-day, and we could just head lower. This could have even been the top of the trend line. I move this down to just catch the bodies. But if we do get past this trend channel, we still have resistance at the 100-day moving average, which lines up with this right here, about 54.56. Overall, I wouldn't say the chart looks too good. Full bear trend, and we got that shooting star right there. Microvision, let's see. All right, so we're breaking out of this downtrend here. Let's introduce the moving averages. Make sure we're on the 1-year. We just got above the 50-day, the 20-day, and you can see we're seeing some resistance right here. So this happens to coincide with the base of this massive red candle right here. Yeah, we're drawing another shooting star here, so it doesn't look too good. We could reject here. I think there's a high potential to reject here, and we could go back underneath the 20-day. But if we do get above the 100-day moving average, then let's see, what is our potential? I would say that the next resistance would probably be at about $7. And then the next one would probably be right here at about 850. We're doing LAZR, LAZR. Yeah, this doesn't look too promising to me. Introduce the moving averages. Here we're on the 1 year. And notice clear rejection off the top of this trend channel or trend line. We're above the 50, we're above the 20, but just given this rejection right here, I'm not thinking that this is too promising right now. Let's see, let's look for areas of resistance. Definitely going to be some resistance right here at around 17. And then this 2230 area is a pretty significant resistance. You can see right here, right there, catches that gap. And this area right here catches this movement. Probably the bottom of this gap right here, which is around $18. So quite a bit of resistance. DR. I wonder what these guys do. LiDAR. Oh boy, this chart doesn't look too good. Yeah, this looks like the line. Yeah, the reason why I'm drawing this line right here is that it taps this right here. It catches this disconnect right there. Catches the top of that movement, top of this movement, top of this movement, and the top of this movement, which has very high selling volume, as you can see right there. So just looking at this most recent volume profile of this massive sell, this doesn't look bullish at all to me. So yeah, we're below all the moving averages, and we're even rejecting the 20-day right here. So highly, highly, highly bearish, in my opinion. Probably the most bearish out of all the ones we've looked at. AMD, I can see a pretty clear downtrend here. Yeah, right there. And it's looking like we're potentially starting to break this. Let me see if I can find another downtrend. Yeah, I would say we're potentially starting to break this, but let's just zoom out a bit. Yeah, this could potentially work itself out to be a head and shoulder. So we see the left shoulder right here. It's a very clear left shoulder. And we're seeing this head right here. And then this could work itself out to be a right shoulder. And then we could fall even more. So I would say that the base of the shoulder probably be around this 89.90 area. And let's just throw on the moving averages and look at the 1 year time frame. So now what we see is that we're kind of wedged between this 50-day and this 20-day. Now today's price action was actually pretty crazy. You can see from the wicks that we actually bounced off the 20-day, we bounced off the 50-day, And now we're just kind of sitting somewhere in between. So it's really hard to say if this is bearish or bullish, but you can kind of clearly see that we don't really want to go below the 20-day, and we don't really want to go above the 50-day. So the bulls and bears will probably fight this out to see where we eventually end up on AMD. But let's just kind of see why this is resistance right here. Yeah, to me it's pretty clear why this area is having some difficulty, because you can see this gap right there, and you can see this was prior support right here. So this is when we broke out. We had this strong breakout, and then we fell down here, and then we rebounded. So this is a clear area of prior support. You can see when we broke underneath this, we seriously gapped down all the way down to this $99 area. So that would be support right there. So now we're kind of just, just hanging out here, and we'll see what happens next. Hut. Looking at this chart, to me, doesn't look that great. I mean, I'm not seeing too much of a clear direction here. But overall, the one thing I do see is that this could just end up being a very broad head and shoulders if we do manage to go up again. So that would be some risk if this does rally. And we did break a recent downtrend. Now we're seeing some resistance right here at this prior gap. So now let's go on the 1 year. Let's turn on the moving averages. Right here, we're wedged between the 20 and the 50. So we actually got above the 50, but that's a wick. And then now we're just, we didn't quite hit the 20-day with this bottom wick, but we are stuck between here, and it's looking like indecision to me. So we'll see where this goes. If it does go above the 50-day, there is some resistance right here at around 662. And then if we do get above that, I think we could retest the 200-day right around 776. Now, last ticker of the day, CLF. Zoom out, see what's going on here. Boy, what happened back here? Yeah, some crazy price action. Now, this does look like a massive cup forming. If I do zoom out here, I would say a significant resistance is going to be right here at 37.47. Because you can see right here, when I go back in time, this is where we really sold off, both back in 2007 and in 2013. So this is going to act as serious resistance. If you're going to short this, the short will probably be right here, and then you'll clearly know when to get out of the short. It's when we get above this and we close above that. So that's the most notable thing I see here. Let's go on the 1 year and let's look at the moving averages. So this thing looks seriously overbought. So I'm going to throw on the Bollinger Bands, see what's going on here. And we're actually at the upper range of the Bollinger Bands. And yeah, the deviation looks like it's about $2.50 per deviation. So there is quite a bit of volatility here, but I wouldn't want to be buying this around here. I mean, it definitely does have that potential to go all the way back to that area that I mentioned, which is right here at 38. Significance of this move right here, I mean, if it gets faded, it's going to be a pretty strong fade. Yeah, as things stand right now, it looks pretty darn bullish, but it does look like it's overbought. So yeah, we're above all the moving averages, and let's just see what the trend is. Basically, look for this trend line to get invalidated, and then see what happens next. And let's see if we can find another one. Just look for this trend line to get invalidated, and then we could potentially fall back down to this trend line. And then another thing to worry about is, let's say this rallies, and then we start fading around here, and then we bounce off this trend line, and then we start moving back again. Well, that's going to look a lot like a head and shoulders, and then we could just fade all the way back down here. So that's the risk I'm laying out for Cleveland Cliffs. And definitely do yourself a favor. Make sure you're zooming out so you know exactly where that resistance is going to be. Because if you're just looking at the 1-year chart, I mean, it looks crazy bullish. But when you're zooming out right here, I mean, you can clearly see that there's significant resistance right here. And that concludes my technical analysis on all these tickers. If there is one that you want to see, just leave it down in the comments below. And if I see multiple comments about that one ticker, then I'll definitely do a video on it in the future. So I hope this helped you guys, and I'll leave timestamps down below so that you don't have to watch this entire video. And have a great day.